You're not to talk in this car door like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. Why on earth would you go up and change them? You look perfectly ridiculous in them. It's absolutely childish to be in deep mourning for a man who's actually staying with you in your house for a week as a guest. I know, grotesque.
You are not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or anything else. You've got to leave. By the 4:05 train.
I certainly won't leave you so long as you're in mourning. You're most unfriendly with me. If I were in mourning, you would stay with me, I suppose. I would think it most unkind if you didn't.
Well, will you leave if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you were not too long. I've never seen anyone take so long to dress, and with such little result.
Well, in any case, that is better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I'm occasionally a little overdressed, I more than make up for it by always being immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous. Your conduct and outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to make the 4:05, and I hope you have a pleasant journey back to town. This bunkering, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. But I must see her before I go, and make arrangements for another Bunbury. Ah, there she is.
Oh, I merely came back for one of the roses. I thought you were Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Is he going to take you for a nice drive?
No, he's going to send me away.
And we've got to part?
I'm afraid so. It's a very painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity. But even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you. The dog cart is at the door, sir.
It can wait, Raymond, for 5 minutes.
Yes, thanks. Cecily, I hope I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think, Ernest, your frankness does you great credit. And if you allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it. May I?
Oh, no. It is simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You may go on. I'm quite ready for more. Oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I first laid eyes upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I've dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think that you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily! The dog cart is waiting, sir. Tell it to come around next week at the same hour. Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if you knew you're staying on until next week at the same hour.
Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anyone in the whole world but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly you. Of course, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But, darling, when did we become engaged?
Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who is very wicked and bad. You, of course, form the chief topic of conversation between Miss Prism and myself. And of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of the matter, of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or another. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. And the next day, I bought this little ring, and in your name. And this is the bangle with the true lover's knot that I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It seems to us I'm always giving you for leading such a bad life. And here's the box in which I keep all your dear letters.
But I never wrote you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that. I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week and sometimes oftener.
Oh, do let me read them, Cecily.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. It would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off our engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I
never break off our engagement again, Cecily.
Oh, I couldn't possibly, now that I've actually met you. Besides, of course, there's the question of your name.
Yes, of course.
Don't laugh at me, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Ernest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest.
But do you mean to say you could not love me if I had some other name?
What name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
I can see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It's not at all a bad name. In fact, it's rather an aristocratic name. Half the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if your name was Algie, couldn't you love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character. But I feel that I could not give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, practiced in all the rites and ceremonials of the church.
Oh, yes, Dr. Charles Bull is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him at once on our most important christening. I mean, our most important business.
Oh.
I shan't be away more than half an hour.
Considering that we've been engaged since February the 14th, and that I've met you only today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me so long a period as a half an hour. Wouldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary.
Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing. On very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went over in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray, ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon, and you can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of the many good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack and some of his philanthropic work. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. Something tells me we're going to be great friends. I like Jordan more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me after we've known each other for such a comparatively short time. Pray sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure,
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
if you wish.
Then that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this will be a favorable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You've never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is entirely unknown. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for the man. And certainly, once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system. So do you mind my looking at you through my looking glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh, no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also?
Oh, no, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange he never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I'm not sure, however, that this news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I'm very fond of you, Cecily. I've liked you ever since I met you. But I'm bound to state that now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish you were, well, a little older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly,
Pray do. I think that when anyone has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish you were fully 42. More than usually plain for age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. This loyalty will be as impossible to him as deception.
I think,
But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history, supplies us with many most painful accounts of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes, mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you had lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you are quite sure it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon.
My dear Gwendolyn, there's no reason why I should keep it a secret of it to you. Our local county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I thought there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to be married to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
There must be some mistake. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious. For he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, well, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One must always have something sensational to read in the train. I'm so sorry, dear Cecily. It has been an impossible disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it has caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I am bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever entanglement my dear boy may have gotten himself into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I'm glad to say that I've never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay tea here as usual?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh, yes. From the top of one hill, quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is where you live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden you have here, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I can't understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who's anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression. Is it not? I hear that aristocracies are suffering very much from it just at present. It is almost an epidemic amongst them, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar.
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best house nowadays.
And that, Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
From the moment I saw you, I